What's up, vapors? Thanks for checking out Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Tab Pro. Alright guys, so this one's by our friends over at GeekVape. This thing is pretty cool because not only can you test and build your coils right on the unit itself, you could just flip up your atomizer just like that and actually use it as a functioning temporary mod. So before I get started with this video, I do have to state my intent by saying that I did receive this product for free for the purpose of making this video. However, it has no monetary value to me, which means my opinions on it will remain honest and unbiased, of course, as always. With that being said, I would like to give a huge shout out and thank you to eFunTop for sending it my way. They're a massive Chinese retailer, so make sure you guys check them out. They have some really great prices. So I'm on eFunTop right now, and they have it listed for $44.99, down from $59.99, which I think is a pretty good deal. They only have it in the one color, which is black, which is totally understandable because it's more of a tool than anything else. Yeah, you can use it as a temporary mod sort of thing, but this is not the thing that you want to use all the time. So if you want to pick one of these up, I'll have links right down there in the description. But without further ado, let's go down to the close-up view and take a better look at this thing. Alright guys, as you can see, we've got our GeekVape Tab Pro in its original box, so let's quickly take a look around the packaging and then we'll talk about what's inside. Now, before we begin, I must say that I do not believe this is the full retail packaging, and you'll see why in just a second here. But with that, you've got the black and orange kind of GeekVape theme going on as usual. You have this little kind of sticker here that's labeled Tab Pro, and it has a few little main features on there, which are really extremely hard to read. On the bottom, you have, "Dear friends, thank you for reviewing GeekVape products," signed GeekVape. So that is actually what leads me to believe this is not the regular retail packaging. I think it's something that they sent to eFunTop to give out to their reviewers. So anyways, moving on here, we've got the lack of barcodes right here. I'm imagining that's where your scratch off authentication thing would go and your normal barcode thing would go. But otherwise you have a few little symbols there. And on the back we have some company information. So there we go. Pretty standard stuff we usually see. And taking off the cover, there we go. We have the unit itself, the actual tab, which we'll just remove for a brief second here to get into the bottom. Ooh, lots of foam. And the only other thing in the box, no user manual, no nothing like that, is a micro USB charging cable. Looks like a pretty long one here. Nice. But yeah, I have a million of these things, so nothing new to me. So I'll be giving you guys the grand tour in just a second here, but before I did that, I wanted to give you guys the specs. The rated power output is 50 watts. Maximum voltage output is 9 volts. It has power step up and step down. The resistance detection range is 0.05 to 3 ohms. The resistance detection accuracy is within 0.02 ohms. It has low battery voltage warning at 3.2 volts, temperature warning at 85 degrees Celsius, rated resistance from 0.1 to 0.3 ohms. It uses a single 18650 battery and charges at 5 volts at 1 amp. So how do you use this? Well, it's pretty easy if you ask me. All you got to do is flip the device over, locate the little battery hatch like so, and pop in a battery. Like that. We have our little piece of ribbon that helps when it comes time to take that battery out of there, and it just attaches just like that. Pretty darn easy. Nice strong magnets in the cover, and there we go. It's already on. It's showing F0, which is one of our prompts up here. We have F0 is ready to fire, F1 is short warning, F2 is no atomizer, F3 is overheat warning, F4 is overtime warning, and F5 is low battery warning. So there you go. It's pretty easy to function. To change from one mode to the next, all you have to do is click the button 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and then it switches over to actual ohm reader mode. So F2 is no atomizers, as you can see there. And you have your big chunky 510, nice big metal piece right up top here. This whole section is made of metal. Nice 510 spring-loaded connection, of course. And one of the quirkiest things I've ever seen in an ohm reader is this piece here actually rotates 90 degrees. So if you really wanted to, you could use it as a temporary mod. So that is something I've never seen before on an ohm reader, but that is one of the features of this device here. So let's test out some atomizers. Let's just see how this thing reads. It's going up against the RX Gen 3 today, and what we're going to be doing is just putting 3 different atomizers on top with rated coils, and we'll see how they stack up. So with that, first coil we're going to check out today is the Medusa staple coils, 0.25 ohms inside the flow tank here. So we're just going to pop that on real quick. and check it out. It's reading 0.27 ohms on there. It's supposed to be 0.25, so that's actually within the range that it states on the actual specifications. Let's just check it out on the RX Gen 3 real quick. We'll see how accurate that is. And looks like it's reading at 0.26. So yeah, pretty darn close. I would say that's still, acceptable in my book. Let's go on to the next one here. We've got the Scion Neochrome Scion tank by Innokin. This coil is rated at 0.28 ohms. Let's just slap it on here. So it's 0.3, 0.29, there we go. It actually went down a notch there. So it's pretty darn close if you ask me. And once again on the RX Gen 3, it's reading 0.28. So yeah, the RX Gen 3, a little bit slightly more accurate as compared to this thing here. But it is very acceptable. 0.02 isn't going to make that much of a difference. And last but not least, we have the Tanker by RigMod. This is 0.15 ohm coil. So let's just try this one out. And on here, it's reading 0.16. So it's 0.01 off, not too bad if you ask me. Now let's see how that stacks up against the RX Gen 3. And it's reading 0.16, so that's actually a straight up tie right there. So they both get the exact same measurement on this one here, which is good. So overall, yeah, it's pretty darn close. It's well within the acceptable range as far as that goes. And it's not a bad little ohm reader, so definitely check this one out. So the last thing I wanted to show you guys is actually firing an RDA on this thing. And as you can see right now, I've got the mesh RDA on top that I built the other day, reading in at 0.14 ohms, which is cool. And let's just change the mode by clicking the button 3 times. And now it's in fire mode. F0 means ready to fire, so let's just fire this bad boy up. And there you go. Pretty cool. You can just fire up your device just like that, get it ready to go, tune it up, and test it out. And that's pretty much it. So let's go back to the main screen and have a quick chat about this thing. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the close-up section of the video. Now let's talk about my personal thoughts about this device, some pros, some cons, and whether or not it's worth purchasing. Starting off today with the pros, and my first pro is that it's super easy to use. Yeah, this thing could not be more simple. It's 5 clicks on and off, 3 clicks to change which mode you're in, and when you're in fire mode, you just click and hold the button down to fire up your coils. Really, really super simple, easy to use for anyone, and I gotta say, it's made my life a hell of a lot easier since I got it. My second pro today is the built-in charging feature. I really like the fact that you don't have to fumble around with AA's, or in this case 18650s. You don't have to take it out of the mod to charge it. You can just plug it right into the wall using the micro USB cable, which of course I have a plethora of, so with that, definitely a good feature for me. My third pro is it's a test and tune rig all in one. I don't have to take my atomizer off the ohm reader to put it on my mod and just to heat up the coils and fix them up a little bit before putting it back on the ohm reader. With this rig here, I can build my coils right in one spot. I can test them, I can tune them, I can adjust them, and I can make sure I'm being completely safe by checking the ohms all in one place, and then when I'm done, I can just slap it on my mod and I'm off and vaping. My fourth pro today is that it can be used as a temporary mod, and yeah, that seems a little bit weird to say, but all you have to do is just flip it up 90 degrees and have a vape. And that's just freaking cool if you ask me. So if you're ever in desperate need of a mod and you don't have one around and you got yourself the GeekVape Tab Pro, then there you go. And my fifth and final pro for this device is it has a nice rugged feel. Now, there are a lot of plastic pieces on it. This whole side here is made of plastic, but this upper section is all metal, which has a bit of weight behind it, and I feel like whenever I'm wrenching on my screws really hard on whatever I'm building on, I'm not going to break the ohm reader into a million pieces. So with that, it's nice to have a little bit of peace of mind when you're building, especially someone like me. I really tend to crank down pretty darn hard on what I'm building on. So with that, this one is really good for me. All right, guys, so moving on to some cons. My first con is that you might accidentally rotate this piece around if you're building on something larger than 24 or 25 millimeters. So if you have an Elite V2 or a Mason or a Buddha or something with a very large build deck, I really wouldn't recommend building on this thing because you're going to end up putting pressure outside of the actual surface area of the unit itself. And with that, you're probably going to end up, bending this piece down like that, and it might get a little bit messy. So with that, I really wouldn't recommend building on one of these if you have a very large atomizer like that. My second con today is the awkward button placement. Now, I could totally see why they put it on the side of the device like this. It's for those people that are going to be using this as a temporary mod. Now, with that in mind, even with that, I would say it's a little bit awkward because it kind of falls right here on my middle finger where I would normally put a button up near the trigger finger up here. So with that, yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. Also, if you're using it with your thumb, it falls kind of in the middle of your thumb if you're holding it with your whole hand here. So if you're going to be holding it like this to fire it with the tip of your thumb, then you don't really have a lot of control over your device and you might end up dropping it and breaking it. My third con is it's a little bit pricey for an ohm reader. Now, I understand it's not just an ohm reader. You can test and build on it, and you can use it as a temporary mod if you wanted to. However, I feel like what I'm mostly going to be using this for is the kind of ohm reader function. I really have zero interest in the fact that you can flip this piece up and use it as a mod. So with that in mind, for my uses, I really think it's a little bit pricey. I could go out and buy one that's made in America for even cheaper than that. So I don't know. I'm a bit conflicted here because I could see the use with the people that are going to use it as a temporary mod. But for me personally, that does not interest me one bit. And my fourth and final con is that the screen could use a bit of an update. Now, as it stands now, if you get an F with a number on the screen, it corresponds to something in this little upper panel here, as you saw in the close-ups. Now, that totally reminds me of a Provari. Now, with that being said, I really feel like they could have maybe updated this thing a little bit, maybe put a little bit better chip in there that supports a better screen, something that has more clear warnings and it's a little bit easier to kind of read. But with that, I don't feel like it needs anything like a color touchscreen or anything super fancy, just a tiny, tiny minor little update. So at the end of the day, is this thing worth purchasing? Would I go out of my way to pick one of these up if I didn't get this one for review? And my answer would be yes, but just barely. Now, the reason I say that is because I'm personally only interested in this thing for the main functionality, the test and build format. I really don't care that it rotates. I really wish it didn't, to be honest with you. And the fact that it can be used as a temporary mod is something that does not interest me one bit. So for you guys out there that are into it for the testing and building form factor, yes, I still think it's worth it just to pick one up, and in an emergency you can use it as a temporary mod. So if you guys want to pick one of these things up, I'll leave linked right down there in the description if you want to check it out. So that about does it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Don't forget to click that notification bell right next to the subscribe button if you want to be alerted whenever I upload videos. Also, leave me some comments in the box below. I'd love to hear your thoughts all about the GeekVape Tab Pro or anything else you guys want to discuss. Make sure you check out the advocacy and my social media links right down there in the description. You can also find the link where you can get yourself a daily Vape TV sweatshirt that I just added to my merch store. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and as always, vape on!